What's up everybody? In today's video I'm going to be showing you how I built this super smelter in my survival world. So as you can see here, I started out by marking off kind of where the exterior pillars were going to go and built them all up 5 blocks as you'll see here. Now I will give credit right away. I got a lot of inspiration, especially on the mechanical side. I completely copied one of Disruptive Builds tutorials, so shout out to him. He's been a huge inspiration to the channel, as you guys know, and he's been really helpful to me in expanding my knowledge of how building should be. And I didn't take any inspiration on the build like exterior or look itself, just the inner workings and the mechanics of the super smelter I took on this one. So not exactly a direct one-to-one copy by any means, but as you can see here, I'm adding in the input and output chests. And one thing I want to make sure of that you guys do, if you want to follow this step by step, make sure that those chests do turn into double chests. And as you can see, I cut around a little bit. And yeah, you want to shift click and get them on the outside. Here I am adding in some of the front face of the wall. Now, like I used here, I used granite and stone bricks for a lot of this. You can really make it your own. I really liked the version that Disruptive Builds used in his video. It was like a spruce, looked like a log cabin. I honestly think that I preferred that look more than the one I came up with, but it didn't fit the style of what I'm going for with this, which is the industrial building, but or industrial district, excuse me. But here I'm adding in the hoppers, and one thing I will note, get a lot of iron before you build this. And it took quite a bit of time to gather up all the iron. I did a little bit of mining sessions, as well as used Captain Palm's iron farm. So shout out to Captain Palms, and you'll actually see him here in just 1 second. But before that, make sure you put in these hoppers going into the back of each individual furnace and not into each other. Yeah, Faye should be calling me up anytime here now, but regardless, back to the regularly scheduled program. We're now adding in a row of hoppers on top of the furnaces as well, which is where the actual items you will be smelting will enter in. Now, I had a little bit of some technical difficulties when building this. You want to make sure you wrap these slabs around the backside as well, and then cutting this one out for a redstone block. And here's where the difficulties happened. I do cut it out, but it's a little tricky getting the rails to be side by side without connecting to each other in a way that won't work ideally. Now, I'm not gonna slow this down and walk through step by step exactly where everything needs to be placed. If you want to slow it down, I would go ahead and do that yourself, or I recommend looking for the Disruptive Builds video that he posted, because he does a much better job than I could walking through where to place everything. But it's fairly simple. I'm not a redstone guy myself, and I figured it out with the help of Disruptive Builds tutorial, so I'm sure that you guys are a lot smarter than me and you can figure it out. But one tip I'll just add is, on these hoppers, make sure you crouch before placing each individual rail, because if not, you will just open the hopper, and that does you no good. But the biggest thing here is, you see the little box around the redstone. Use that to place the block that you'll need at the end of this power rail. That is a trick I didn't think about, but came in pretty handy. But you'll want to light each of these powered rails up with a redstone torch. there I added in some of the levers and the hopper minecarts to test it out. And let's give her a go. Just checking to make sure that there's no hang-ups, that they're going all the way around and coming back. And they worked out pretty well. So here's my first test of, is this thing gonna work? You want to put your fuel in the outside chests, and as you see, they got picked up, and I tested it on some cobblestone. So you'll see it's starting to work. It's pretty quick. I did cut it out a little bit, but when you put in the stone or the cobblestone, it'll suck, or whatever you're smelting, it'll suck it through when the hopper minecart comes by, and then it will take it, insert them. I decided to start working on the exterior here now as well. But really, you just want to make sure whatever you want smelted goes to the right part of the minecarts, and whatever you want to use as fuel goes to the bottom. I've elected to use lava buckets because I just built a lava factory, and you do need quite a bit more buckets than you think, because one issue I ran into, and I likely cut out me dealing with it in this video, if you don't have enough lava buckets to go all the way around and fill each of the furnaces, you'll run into the problem of, for one, you have one row of furnaces that has an item that you want to smelt with no fuel, and then once the fuel burns out of the side that did complete their smelting, and then you put more lava in instead of going into the far side. Say you put in 10 lava buckets, or you put in 5 lava buckets, so 5 of those furnaces are getting the fuel they need. Well, they run up, you go fill those buckets up with lava, you put it back in, it's going to put that lava back into the same 5 furnaces that already smelted. So it really doesn't accomplish anything. So you need to make sure you have a steady source of lava so that you can replenish and just fill up your both sides of the furnaces. But here I go ahead and start with the exterior, make this thing look pretty. Now, I'm not going to over explain everything I did, but here I decide to add in the roof, and when I got to this stage, I didn't know what I was going to do with the top. One thing I'm critical of myself over on the lava farm was how, I do think that the smokestacks do help a lot, but it's kind of a flat build. It doesn't have any real depth, and I'm likely going to make some changes to it, just cosmetically, but it's kind of a box with some things sticking off and out of it from the top. This one I wanted to give a little bit more of a depth to. I added an upper floor, which doesn't have any real purpose, but it does enhance the look of the build, both with a couple of different techniques. So and you may remember from the beginning of the video what it looked like, but I was really happy with how it ended up turning out, and I kind of just was winging it. I certainly think that scale-wise, I could have made it a little bigger. So then the top floor I could have actually used for something, but I don't really need it to. I can always add another building for another use, but here you see me adding in kind of the front of this thing, and what I would kind of say is the focal point of the build, and then filling in each of these walls. So I'm going to let you guys enjoy me filling in the rest of the building, and I'll catch you guys once I'm done. So here we are adding in the finishing touches, which includes the roof portion, and then I also go ahead and toss in some additional details with some windows and even some campfires so that it looks like, you know, we have some stuff smelting there on the inside, which I in the end do think was a really good touch. As you can see, I put in this and I cut a hole in the top so that the smoke flows a little higher and goes through the ceiling. But as you can see, finishing up the flooring, and then we're going to have a grand reveal of the exterior and what the build looks like. I really enjoyed making this thing. It's been very useful. I go on a mining trip here in what may be included in a long play video I upload here shortly. So stay tuned for that, but I was able to smelt up all of my items from that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this build. I really like how it turned out. Let me know what I should build next, and you know, we'll kind of play it by ear. I like hearing your suggestions, and stay tuned for the next one. Peace.